Catwoman, every Batman fan's favorite femme fatale. Maybe you see her as Batman's one true love, maybe you see her as a strong, independent woman, or maybe she's for the girlies. Personally, I think it's a little more complicated. When it comes to Selena Kyle, you really are left with a few questions, like, how much of her is the cat and how much of her is the woman? Where does she draw that line? And where will we? Let's get into it, folks. I'm Jay, and if you're interested in this kind of content, subscribe, like the video, and comment down below your own thoughts. Selena Kyle, better known as Catwoman, first appeared in Batman #1 in 1940, where she was called the Cat and appeared as a jewel thief. But that's not all. She also wants Batman to join her as her partner, setting her up as a potential romantic interest for the Bat. This laid a pretty good groundwork for the general role she would play in most stories. However, there's a good deal more to her than is originally established. While her backstory tends to bounce around a little, the broad strokes of her pre-boot backstory goes as follows. Selena Kyle and her little sister Maggie are raised by their Cuban mother Maria Kyle and their white father Brian Kyle. Brian is an abusive husband, and to escape the abuse, Maria eventually kills herself when Selena is about 10. Then, not too long after, Brian drinks himself to death, leaving his daughters alone. Maggie is placed in an orphanage and eventually joins the convent as Sister Magdalene, while Selena leaves her for the streets, where she gets a head start on her life on crime. She steals to get by and then eventually turns to sex work. During this time, Ted Grant of Wildcat fame trains her to fight so she can protect herself. Selena also takes in a young girl named Holly. Eventually, she gets tired of what she's been doing and decides to don a cat costume and start robbing the city blind. From there, she climbs the ranks of the underworld and of high society. She's a world-renowned cat burglar, and really only takes on jobs because she wants to at this point. Rarely does she let things drag her down when she's in the mood to take something. But this doesn't mean she's all bad. She's also a defender of the neighborhood she grew up in, the East End's very own Batman with much looser morals. She drifts between the villain to hero spectrum often enough, where a lot of people classify her as an anti-hero, while around the same amount of time she could be called an anti-villain. And honestly, that's part of what makes her character so interesting. She's fast and loose with her morals, and it's all up to what serves her goals the most at the time. The only person who really knows what she'll do next at any given point is herself, and that's just the way she wants to keep it.
Pretty good at that.
Cats are known to be mostly solitary creatures, taking a while to warm up to people and then only spending time with them when they want to. No one can really control them. This applies to Selena Kyle in spades. In most cases, when faced with the choice between something that'll benefit her or something that'll benefit others, she's taking the first option. She makes the decisions that get her ahead, whether that be financially or personally. She wants for herself more than others. Her preferred method of doing this? Catwoman. Catwoman is her tool to get what she wants and not have to listen to a thing anyone else has to tell her. It's her control over her life after she had such a lack of it for so long. She plays with the rules, with people. Everything is just a game to her. She loves the mask and the amount of control and power it gives her. People didn't fear Selena Kyle, but they're terrified of Catwoman. Unlike other characters that love their masks as much as Selena does, she is 100% herself, both in and out of it. Catwoman is her outlet, her way to cut loose and do anything she wants without anyone stopping her. She knows if she did as Selena, it would be harder to get away with it. She loves Catwoman. It's when she's on top of the world, when nothing can touch her and no one can hurt her. She never stays down. She gets what she wants. And she craves that. She needs that freedom, no matter what gets in the way of it. She refuses to give it up. She always comes back to it. This especially applies to when people get in the way of Catwoman, up to and including herself. When Selena Kyle got in the way of Catwoman's reputation, she threw a random corpse off of a roof and faked Catwoman murdering Selena Kyle. And while this may have been a cover for her, it doesn't mean she's the only person she'll sacrifice. Selena left behind Maggie because she knew Maggie would be better off with stability, yes, but also because the way that Selena wanted to get by was only going to be complicated with Maggie being there. She didn't want to get dragged down by her little sister, not when she wanted to be without a single restraint in her life. When she's taking care of Holly, she eventually ditches her too when she really gets into Catwoman. She only comes back into her life fully when she can take care of herself and make herself useful to Selena, all the way to the point of being an extension of Selena's persona, being Catwoman when Selena can't. Selena doesn't let herself be impeded by anyone who relies on her. She doesn't like when people rely on her. They need to be able to handle themselves first. The biggest example of this is with Helena Kyle, Selena's daughter. Selena makes it out like she's going to give up being Catwoman when she has Helena, but she doesn't last long at all. As soon as she can, she's back in the costume and back into the night, and at no point does she stop doing this, even as it continues to put her infant daughter in danger over and over again. When she finally decides she has to do something about the fact her daughter is in so much danger, what does she do? She gives up her daughter. When given the choice between giving up Catwoman and her daughter, she picks to keep Catwoman. She had everything set up in such a way that she could leave Catwoman behind and raise her daughter normally. But she couldn't let go of Catwoman. She wanted to keep that lifestyle, and so she did. Granted, it wasn't an easy choice that she made, but she still made that choice. Over and over, Selena picks herself and Catwoman over anything or anyone else, often at the expense of others. For so long, she only had herself, so now she doesn't know how to prioritize anyone else over herself. All she needs are her cats, her money, and herself. She very well could have stopped once she got all she needed. She could have had a very fulfilling life, but no, she wanted the money, the power, the thrill of the next job. It overpowered anything else. Quickly, it was no longer about just trying to get by. It was her always wanting more than she had. Selena's biggest fear, as exposed by a lot of fear toxin, is being dependent on other people, on having to rely on anyone other than herself. Losing the total independence and control she has over her life terrifies her, so of course she isn't going to easily let that happen. She keeps close to herself and only herself. She limits the amount of people she has around her. She has friends, sure, but she has those because they're useful to her. Slam Bradley makes things easier for her. Holly Robinson does the groundwork she can't anymore. She's manipulating Ivy and Harley. When she gets attached, it's only because these people are useful to her enough that she sees them worth sticking around. There's a reason that basically during the entirety of her 90s run, the only people she seems to hang around are her fences and people who she has to. She has a little friendship with Harley, but she ditches her pretty quickly, probably for good reason. She flirts, she kisses, but that doesn't mean she cares about most of those men. By the time Brubaker took over her character, she had more relationships that seemed to stick, but those were all with people who could work for her as well as with her. Looking out for herself is a core of her character, but that doesn't mean that there aren't moments where the lone cat slips a little, and Selena gets to show a different side of herself. Given Selena's background, it makes sense that she would have a soft spot for other women like her. Is it enough to make her care about them more than herself? No, but it is enough for her to use a significant amount of her constantly replenishing fortune in order to provide resources for the East End. It's enough to make her offer Holly a place to stay and to make sure she could protect herself. It's enough to get her to get the Alleytown kids under her control rather than that of the people just trying to use them. Anytime she sees the working girls in danger from their bosses or from random men on the street, Selena takes no time to hesitate before beating the crap out of them and handing the women she just saved a wad of cash. These are her people. This is where she came from, and she isn't going to forget it, no matter how far she gets from it. She cares, somewhere in there, about where she came from and the people who weren't able to do what she did. And she feels that since no one else seems to care about her neighborhood, that she might as well do for them what Batman would do for the rest of Gotham. Someone has to, and she's decided that it's going to be her. She's going to make the East End a better place for everyone who lives there. She protects it. One of the first villains Selena faces in the Brubaker Catwoman run is a Clayface-like figure who's been killing sex workers in the East End. Holly tells her about this, and Selena takes care of it. She makes sure he can't kill anyone else. When other villains are trying to go after her, before going after her personally, they try to cause a ruckus within her home to make sure it hurts. They send villains to try and stake their claim. They blow up her centers. They make life harder for the people who aren't Selena because they know it'll rile her up. Not as much as hurting those in her inner circle, but enough to have her after their heads. When it comes to those in her inner circle, Selena is willing to go the extra mile in every way. In Pfeiffer's run on Catwoman 2002, Selena kills Black Mask. Why does she kill him? Because he went after Slam Bradley, someone she cared a hell of a lot about. She hated Black Mask for trying to take over her East End, but what she wanted him dead for was all the times he hurt her people. He tortured her sister. He tortured Slam. So she made the executive decision that he needs to die and acted on it. Whenever Holly is in trouble, Selena is willing to drop everything to go help her, even if she knows she probably shouldn't. Her and Holly are also interesting because she really does care about Holly, their family in some nebulous way that doesn't really need to be defined. She looked after her until she couldn't risk having people to care about. She made sure she had a place to stay later on, but Selena also put her back in danger on the regular because it served her and what she needed. All the same, Holly was the one person she trusted to be Catwoman when she couldn't be, and she didn't force her to give it up when she came back to it. She was willing to share that part of herself with Holly in a way she was never able to with anyone else. Given the choice to team up with any of the other villains in Gotham, Selena chooses Harley Quinn. The two are playful, and Selena offers Harley another way out from the Joker, spending time with her. But there's also another matter of how Selena treats women, and how she's treated as a woman.
Ani! Baby! Ani!
We all know I love a good evil woman. We also know that I love a good woman too. But what I love most is when that woman is respected as a person by the writers and by the artists. But demanding female characters be treated like any other character by comic artists from before the modern era is like asking for a miracle. And even nowadays, it's like a bonus rather than a guarantee. When it comes to writers, though, you'd like to hope that they could respect women at least a little bit when taking on female characters. And for the most part, the 2002 to 2008 Catwoman run manages to nail this. Selena is given the opportunity to be a fully fledged character with thoughts and emotions not all tied to men. She gets to explore relationships with men, sure, but those were secondary to the main plot lines. There were a few things I felt were a little out of sorts about this run, however. For example, the decision to take the personal agency out of Selena starting to be good and turning her life around for the better. Rather than it being a choice Selena made for herself because she really wanted to help her city, she had to be nudged onto the path. They try and work this back and say that Zatanna only pushed her towards the decision she chose to make, but it falls flat. People went into Selena's mind and programmed her to be a good guy without her consent. She didn't entirely make that decision. It was put onto her by the Justice League, and that robs a level of Selena's agency in the way she decides to change her ways. It makes all the times in the 2002 run that Selena chose to pick the greater good over her own profits or personal connections feel so much cheaper, because Selena isn't overcoming those things on her own. She was made to do so by someone else. While every character arc needs a catalyst, was this really the best way to go about it? By robbing her of her agency? The 90s Catwoman run struggled with this a good bit more. While some writers did Selena really good, like Bronwyn Carlton, I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, handled her excellently, I feel. Others didn't do as great. Chuck Dixon, will you ever be capable of writing a woman normally? Devin Grayson's Catwoman was one that I enjoyed. She really gave Selena a chance to cause problems and chaos that didn't involve just men and the fact she was messing with them. She let Selena blackmail people to the point of letting her run for mayor. A lot of writers struggle with Selena, since while she's deeply ingrained into the Batman mythos, the part that most people are exposed to is so much shallower than her full character and usually extends only to cat-themed femme fatale who's super sexy and makes out with Batman right away. And so many people stop there while writing her. But she is so much more than that, and people need to start getting it before I start eating drywall. Don't make me start. Selena is a character who got dealt a very rough hand, but she took that hand and started to beat people with it to get to the top. She may not have been some frilly little house cat to do it, but she made it to where she wanted to be. Most people wouldn't be able to do that. Selena, on the other hand, bit and scratched her way out. And so far, curiosity hasn't quite killed this cat. Subscribe, like the video, comment down below with your thoughts, and until next time, listeners.